Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your inner voice. I'm Camila Lopez Hernandez. I'm from Villa Educativa de Saltillo, and today I'm going to talk about relationships or the interaction with people. People are so complicated that most of us don't really understand our feelings or thoughts half of the time, and we all try to get along and have connection. But when I talk about relationships, I'm talking about any type of interaction with people, friends, family, colleagues, partners, and a term that everyone is familiar with are the red flags. And what are the red flags? Well, it's when you don't trust someone, or an example of it could be like that person cheats on everyone they've been with, red flag. That person only uses persons for their personal benefit, red flag. That person doesn't wipe off the knife like when they are spreading butter on toast, and when they go for more butter, little crumbs get stuck on the pot, red flag. But what about the red flags that only start revealing themselves once you build trust and connection? And you will start thinking, oh wow, they are a good person. I mean, they won't want to hurt me on purpose. It's not easy to rationalize that, and because of that, toxic relationships could be really common. Another term is the manipulation, and a fantasy or something that it in the cartoons is shown is like the manipulation is like Chad and Sally are dating. Sally wants to go out with friends, but Chad doesn't want Sally to go out. Chad is a manipulator. But realistically, Chad will start nitpicking something that don't like of Sally's friends, and will start saying to Sally, "I don't like how Nick talks to other girls. It's kind of weird. Don't you think that Amanda drinks too much? That's not responsible for her." That little implant, the makes Sally trust Chad more, and then Chad successfully isolated Sally for her friends, and has more control of their actions or emotions. And something that is really common too is when they talk about us about drugs. In school, always is brainwashed that drugs are awful, and we understand it. And the cartoon thing, it could be like you're at a party, lights are blaring, and someone comes up to you and like it goes like, "Hey kid, you wanna do a drug?" Boom! The time slows down, the cigarette is glowing with evil energy. You look up, and all of a sudden it's grown horns and fangs, and oh my god, it's Satan! No, that's not how it happens. Realistically, you will be a small get together with close friends and just have a nice night talking and laughing, and just once gets like, "Hey, I got Coke." There's no time slows, and all of a sudden your brain is confused. It's like, drugs are bad, but this is my friend we've known since 5th grade. He's a normal dude. Are my other friends gonna do it? Another type of manipulation will be the emotional blackmail. That is a type of manipulation that uses fear, obligation, and guilt. It will be like if someone comes up with you and is like, "Do this or I hurt you," or "Do this or I hurt myself," and that leaves you in a difficult situation because you care about them. If someone just goes like, "I'm pathetic, you should leave me, I'm just gonna hurt myself," that you start thinking that there's a responsibility to you because you care about them. I mean, you want them to be happy. But you can care all of that, and this is a hard pill you need to swallow. You are not responsible for anyone's happiness, but they are really sad and don't have a good emotion. So I just start thinking you're not responsible for anyone's happiness, and that's a really important pill you need to swallow. Please, just do it. So your head just start thinking of things that they are positive of. You need to really get that you just just that you can just take that responsibility. And that's really important. If you want to help that person, tell them to go to see a professional, because those people are specialized to do that. You can start about having a relation, and when the things don't go out right, that person just needs time to think about it, and think about some things like why the relationship didn't work, because they just ask for many favors or money and they just don't pay back, or you feel that you can't do any decision or talk clearly or free with them. So you can just start thinking to cut the relationship or try to fix it. It's like an example of it. It could be like, hey, dude, you're dropping many toxic things in my ocean, and my little dolphins are dying. Oh, sorry. How can I help you? How can I help you to be better? Not only that person takes the responsibility, it knows that it's have a problem. But if the person is like, hey, how am I supposed to know? Why are you so angry of it? That's really toxic situation. And if the things don't work, just get it out of your world. It's like if you have a little ecosystem, and if someone else has problems, you need to talk about them. And no, you can't just you just can't leave your ecosystem, because who's gonna watch for it? No one, because that's your responsibility. So you should treat you well and have a nice ecosystem, and you deserve fresh air. Oh, I gotta go. I have someone to be.
The new humanity shields. A needle, a little needle, who have helped the world many times. Well, the craziest thing is that we are vaccinating the illness that we are preventing for. If you want to hear more about this crazy discovery, open your ears, because today I'm going to talk about the vaccines. The vaccine started in the 18th century by Edward Jenner. He was a crazy scientific searching the smallpox vaccine. He just looked about some farmers who were working with ill cows of cowpox. Also, the farmers were ill of smallpox, but they have weaker symptoms. That was like a normal flu for them. Then that he realized that, he tried with blood of ill cows. He just have a needle, he put the blood into the needle and inject his gardener and his gardener's son. It wasn't an ethical reason to do it, but hopefully it works. He didn't care about nothing. He just have discovered the vaccines. This crazy discovery had helped the world avoiding pandemics and controlling them. That's why we need to vaccine. Any corporation or government will control us. We are avoiding deaths. Imagine that your dearest person died about something he could control it. It could be heartbreak, because you know that he could control that. That's why we need to take conscious of this. Today, I'm thankful because we are changing the world in a positive way, like Edward do with his vaccine, or like today we are doing, vaccinating ourselves. What doesn't kill us make us strong.
It's not the strongest, the fastest, or intelligence. It's the adaptable. Hi, my name is Carlos Alexander Esquivel from Villa Educativa de Saltillo. I'm here to tell you about artificial intelligence, or AIs. Do you ever wish to have a personal assistant? Someone is with you every time what you need it? Well, I maybe have the solution. First, I'm gonna tell you about the artificial intelligence during the pandemic, the artificial intelligence now in this moment, and the artificial intelligence for the future. Well, the artificial intelligence in the pandemic, I think, was more for old people, because old people are not familiarized using a phone. But I know it can be a little complicated to configure the AI, but I think that the son is who brought the AI in first moment, and it's more easy to say, I want you to call that person that using a phone. I know this because I have a grandmother that have Alexa, because she doesn't she's not familiarized with using a phone. So one time she had an accident and she say out loud she want to call the 911, and they bring up ambulance and all. Now the AIs right now are a little limited. I don't think they are on their full potential, because they can turn the shovel, the lights, the climate, and more, and a little bit more. But they cannot drive cars or make you the food. That's what I'm talking the next thing. I think how much you can explode the potential of ES right now is to have a smart house, but it's too expensive to have one, because you have to buy the EA, the lights, the shovel, and it have to be electric. Now, the ES for the future. I think that the ES for the future will have maybe their full potential, because Elon Musk is doing something like smart cars. Smart cars are controlled with artificial intelligence that makes them to move to a way or another. And Elon Musk is doing a kind of robot that have the shape of a human. I think if that intelligence, artificial intelligence, is for a little bit not too expensive, it can make you the food or can drive your car, because you can say, I don't know, I want to go to some part, I want to go to Monterrey, and you don't know how to go to Monterrey or some part of Monterrey. You can say, I want you to drive to Monterrey and that part, and the AI will do the work that you don't have to do. Now, for the AIs that are like robots, I think with the correct limitations will not happen like the movies, that Terminator and more, because that's a movie precisely and will not happen. I think the robot AI will do the part of assistant, now a real assistant that can make you food, wash your, well, maybe you can wash your clothes and more, because I know there are some people and don't like to do that. For example, my dad don't want to do that. I too, he likes to cook, but my mother doesn't like to cook. That's a little bit usual, but it's how it works in my house. But the IA will make the food and even will make it better, because the IA will take the recipes of mondial cookers and will do it as it says, not doing something more or something less. I tell this with the purpose to informate and to you to know more about these things, because I think it will be a new harmony with this artificial intelligence.
Have you ever known someone who is slowly dying from a stick? Yes, you heard me right, a stick. But it isn't any kind of stick that you find on the ground. It's the kind of stick people use to smoke. My name is Liv, and I study in Villa Educativa de Saltillo in Mexico. Maybe some of you have been wondering why I chose this topic. Mainly because somebody I know smokes, but I'll talk about that later. One of the reasons to why people smoke is because their close friends are manipulating them into smoking, which, since they trust them so much, they actually take the cigarette, well, even though they don't know that it'll affect them for life. As I said earlier, millions of people pick up smoking, which could cause them lung cancer. But then they could also get addicted. But how does an addiction start? It's simple. The cigarette activates nicotine receptors into the brain, which could cause an addiction. So now you know how an addiction starts. But how do you stop an addiction? Really simple. Just as simple as how an addiction starts. You could ask your doctor for nicotine replacement therapy, or if you don't want to do that, you could practice relaxation techniques to avoid triggers. Now, somebody that I know smokes. Because of smoking for so long, he's been coughing almost every morning in a very exaggerated way that sometimes I get confused with smoking or coughing or throwing up, which that is another example of a symptom you could get because of smoking. Did you know that if you smoke when you have COVID, the infection will get even worse than how it already is? It could get so bad you could die. So, you better watch out for that. People are not only losing adult members because of smoking, but so are they losing young teenagers. Why, you might be wondering? Because those teenagers' parents are probably very busy, very concentrated on other stuff, or they could never be paying attention to them. So because of never paying attention to them, well, the kids don't get any guidance to know what's right or wrong, to know what's safe or dangerous. So, if they smoke, then they won't know the symptoms they'll get from smoking, which could cause them to have a very, very serious sickness or something worse, like death, for example. So, what you could do is try to stop these families from losing any more members and try to convince these kids to not smoke. Or neither should they take any drugs or anything related to that. So, if you help them, you're not only helping me, you, but also everyone around you and everyone you don't know and everyone you love. Help build a new harmony for this world. Thank you.
In nature, there are no rewards or punishments. There are consequences. Robert Greene. Hello, my name is Kelly Isaacs Puente. I am from Villa Educativa de Saltillo. In the world, there are many wonderful things, such as animals and plants, but I am going to talk about a very important topic in the world, which is the pollution. There are several types of contamination, such as air pollution, the water pollution, and the contamination of the air. The air pollution.
Also, it is called environmental pollution and is not visible. The water pollution. The planet continually reminds us with increasing extreme droughts that without water there is no life. The resource is essential not only for all living beings but also for regulating the temperature of the earth. The contamination of the earth. The earth has the capacity to regenerate itself and clean the waste that ends up in it. Before humans beings existed, organisms such as plants and animals already produced waste, and the earth was able to process it. One example nowadays is the face mask that we still use for the pandemic, and this is disposable and create more contamination in every place. How can we solve these problems? Recycling, reduce the plastic, use recyclable bags, no littering, and reduce the use of water and electricity. And all of this is important to prevent this so we can live in harmony with our planet. And I came to talk to you about this topic to create awareness and not pollute our planet so much because little by little we are running out and there is a lot of ignorance among us. What are you willing to do to stop harming our planet? Don't just think about it, do something.
The war is organized crime and the torture against of your brothers. Alfred Adler. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patricio Cuforzan Sanchez, and I am studying from Villa Educativa Saltillo, and today in my speech I will talk about the negative impact of crime for the people and countries in general. First, this affects to the country. The answer is yes. But first we must emphasize some points, that is the economical crisis and the rate of employment that affects to the economic or from much families in general. And then I will tell you some data from countries that have most crime, that is Afghanistan, Venezuela, South Africa, Iraq, Pakistan, Mexico, and Ukraine. And Ukraine is in the top right now because in the world we have a war between Russia and Ukraine that we must emphasize the World War III. And then I will tell you some kind of crime, that is the homicide, the normal assault, the assault with injuries, the assault that refers to some kind of less harm to another person, the homicide and murder. And now we finish this part and we go to the final part of the speech, that is how to stop crime. Well, this question is so difficult to answer because the crime we have in all the world, and this is it's impossible to do it. But the human, we can do the campaigns, protest that helps to another person and all the people in general in the country, for the world. And the chastity is a crime against your brothers. Terence Mike. Finish.